From this night your name shall carry shame. Wherever you go, people will not remember your beauty, only the stench of the river. This is your curse. Welcome to Tales by Steph, a home of interesting African stories. Juliet was the kind of girl people in Abuja never forgot. When she walked into a room, heads turned and conversations stopped. She was tall, beautiful, with flawless brown skin and a figure that made even women stare. Instagram was her kingdom. Clubs, lounges, and hotels were her palace. Everyone called her the Queen of Abuja nightlife. Men spent fortunes just to sit across from her. Politicians whispered her name. Musicians begged to feature her in their videos. Juliet didn't need to work. Her beauty was her business, her smile was her investment, and her body was the profit. But Juliet wasn't just beautiful. She was proud. Too proud. She mocked anyone who didn't wear designer clothes or drive a luxury car. Friends were tools, men were wallets, and life was a game she believed she could never lose. One hot evening in August, Juliet and her friends went on a weekend getaway outside Abuja. They lodged at a resort near River Nyala, a place known not just for its cool waters, but for its deep spiritual history. Locals said the river was guarded by a goddess who didn't tolerate disrespect. Tourists were warned not to joke, swim naked, or throw trash into the river. But Juliet didn't care for such warnings. "I beg," she told her friends, waving her glass of champagne. "Now 2025 we day. Who still believes all these bush stories about river goddesses?" Her friends laughed nervously, but no one dared challenge her. Juliet always had the last word. That night, dressed in a flowing silk gown, she walked down to the riverbank with her phone. The moonlight glittered on the water like silver. She wanted a dramatic video for Instagram. "Watch and learn," Juliet said, turning on her camera. She strutted to the edge of the water, dipped her foot inside, and posed. Then, mocking the local tradition, she shouted, "Where is this so-called goddess? If you are real, come and show yourself. I am Juliet, Queen of Abuja, richer and finer than any spirit." She laughed loudly, tossing her hair as she splashed the water carelessly. Behind her, her friends begged, "Juliet, stop. Let's go back." But she ignored them. Suddenly, the water rippled, though there was no wind. The night air grew cold. Juliet felt her body shiver, though she still forced a proud smile. Then a voice rose, deep and echoing from the river. "You mock me, child of dust?" Her friends screamed and ran, but Juliet stood frozen, eyes wide. From the water, a tall figure of a woman slowly appeared. Glowing skin, hair like waves, eyes shining like stars. She was beautiful, powerful, terrifying. The river goddess. Juliet dropped her phone in shock. Her knees trembled, but she forced herself to speak. I was just joking." The goddess's voice thundered. "You wear beauty as a crown, but beauty without humility is poison. You pollute my waters with your arrogance. For this, I strip from you what you worship the most." Juliet fell to the ground, begging, "Please, I'm sorry, forgive me." But the goddess only raised her hand and the river surged. A strange chill ran through Juliet's body. She screamed, clutching her chest. The goddess's words echoed, "From this night your name shall carry shame. Wherever you go, people will not remember your beauty, only the stench of the river. This is your curse." Then, as suddenly as she appeared, the goddess vanished beneath the waves. The river returned to calm silence. Juliet gasped for air, her silk gown soaked. She stumbled back to her room, shaking. She told herself it was a dream, a trick of alcohol and moonlight. But deep inside, her pride was wounded. Instead of fear, anger rose. "Who does that spirit think she is?" Juliet muttered, wiping her face. "Me, Juliet? She cannot touch me." She didn't know that her downfall had already begun. Juliet woke up feeling weak. Her head was heavy and her mouth was dry. She sat up slowly and rubbed her eyes. At first, everything seemed normal. The curtains were open, sunlight was pouring in, and birds were singing outside. But then it hit her. That smell wasn't strong at first, but it was there, a damp, fishy odor, the kind you notice when water has stayed too long in one place. Juliet frowned. She stood up, sniffed her bed, sniffed her pillow, even sniffed the bathroom sink. Maybe it's plumbing, she whispered to herself. She turned on the tap and let the water run. For a moment, the smell grew stronger, like mud, before it disappeared. She shook her head. Nonsense, just nonsense. Just then, Ruth came in with a tray of breakfast. She smiled, but the moment she stepped in, she paused. Her face changed slightly, like she had noticed something. Juliet caught it immediately. What? Nothing, Ruth said too quickly, putting the tray down. Juliet narrowed her eyes. Say it. Ruth hesitated. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I smell something. Juliet's heart skipped. What do you mean you smell something? Like damp water. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's this room. Juliet forced a laugh. Exactly. It's the room. Hotels are like that sometimes. Don't worry about it. But deep inside, fear started to grow. By the afternoon, they were back in Abuja. Juliet rushed into her bathroom and scrubbed herself from head to toe. She used the most expensive soaps and shower gels she owned. She sprayed 3 different perfumes on herself, layered them one after the other. When she finished, she stood in front of the mirror and smiled. Perfect. No one will notice anything. That evening, she had a dinner invitation at Maitama. She wore her best white dress and her longest wig. When she walked into the hall, heads turned. Juliet smiled proudly. Yes, this was how it should be. But then, halfway through the dinner, it started again. The smell. It crept out slowly, silently, like it had been waiting for the right time. Juliet noticed the man sitting beside her shift uncomfortably. He rubbed his nose, pretending to cough. Another lady across the table leaned close to her friend and whispered something. Both of them glanced at Juliet. Her stomach dropped. She quickly leaned to Ruth. Do you smell anything? She whispered. Ruth's eyes darted away. Maybe it's from the kitchen, don't worry. But Juliet knew. It was not the kitchen. It was not the room. It was her. She stood up suddenly, smiled at everyone, and announced that she had an urgent call to attend to. Without waiting for questions, she grabbed her purse and stormed out. Back home, she locked the door and cried in silence. She bathed again. She sprayed perfume again. She even lit candles around her room. But no matter what she did, the smell came back. In her head, the goddess's voice returned. Your beauty will not save you. People will not remember your face, only the smell of the river. Juliet pressed her hands over her ears, shaking her head. No, this is not real. This is just my imagination. But deep down, she knew it was real. The curse had begun. Juliet stayed indoors for days. She scrubbed her body morning and night, tried every perfume she owned, and even ordered expensive sprays online. Nothing worked. The smell was always there, sometimes faint, sometimes strong. But it never left. At first, she thought maybe she could hide it. Maybe people wouldn't notice if she looked even more glamorous than usual. So, one Friday night, she dressed in her best outfit and went to a high-class lounge in Wu's 2. She entered like a queen. The lights bounced off her gold dress, her heels clicked on the tiles, and men turned their heads as always. For a moment, Juliet felt relief. Maybe the curse had ended. Maybe she was free. But as soon as she sat down, the whispers began. One man leaned back, fanning his nose. Another lady pulled her chair slightly away. Juliet saw it in their eyes, the same expression Ruth had when she brought breakfast that morning. Disgust. Juliet's chest tightened. She laughed loudly, pretending not to notice, but inside she was burning. When one of her close friends shifted away with a fake smile, Juliet stood abruptly. "I have to go. Emergency," she said, grabbing her bag. She didn't wait for questions. She ran out, her heels clattering on the tiles. By the time she reached her car, tears were rolling down her face. The next day, Juliet decided to visit a spa in Maitama. Maybe a deep cleansing treatment would solve it. She paid triple the fee for the luxury package. The attendants welcomed her warmly at first, but as soon as they started the treatment, the smiles began to fade. Juliet saw one whispering to another. The second girl wrinkled her nose, covering her mouth. Juliet's face burned with shame. "Is there a problem?" she snapped. They shook their heads quickly. "No, madam. No problem." But the way they avoided her eyes told the truth. Juliet couldn't finish the session. She stood up, threw cash on the counter, and stormed out. By the third week, her life had changed completely. Calls stopped coming. The men who once flooded her DMS disappeared. Even the married politicians who used to chase her with money and promises no longer picked her calls. Her own friends started leaving her out of gatherings. One day, Ruth came to her carefully and said, "Juliet, people are talking. They say you smell. They say you carry something spiritual." Juliet's eyes widened with anger. "And you? You believe them?" Ruth swallowed hard. "I don't know what to believe, but it's getting worse." Juliet slapped her. "Get out of my house, useless girl." Ruth left crying, and from that day Juliet was alone. Nights became the worst. She would wake up suddenly and smell the damp odor around her, like the river itself was in her room. Sometimes she heard a voice, cold and mocking. "Beauty fades, but shame lingers. You mocked me, now see how men run from you." Juliet would cover her ears and scream, "Leave me alone." But the voice never stopped. The slay queen of Abuja, once the center of attention, was now a prisoner in her own perfume-filled apartment. Juliet could no longer recognize her own life. Weeks had passed, but the curse only grew worse. Her apartment was full of perfumes, air fresheners, scented candles, but none of them worked. The smell always came back, strong, damp, sour. Her phone hardly rang anymore. Friends avoided her. Men blocked her. Even Ruth, the last person who stayed by her side, refused to return after the slap. Juliet was alone. One evening, she looked at herself in the mirror. Her makeup was still flawless, her skin still smooth, but her eyes were red and swollen from crying. "I'm still beautiful," she whispered, trying to convince herself. "I'm still Juliet." But as soon as she spoke, the odor filled the air again, and she gagged on her own breath. Desperate, she turned to churches. At one popular prayer house in Abuja, she knelt as the pastor laid hands on her. The congregation prayed loudly, fire and thunder. But halfway through, the pastor coughed, his face twisting. He pulled back slightly, then quickly covered it with a forced smile. Juliet's heart broke. Even in church, the curse followed her. Next, she tried a herbalist in Kuje. The old man listened, nodding. He gave her leaves to boil, powders to rub, and chants to repeat. She did everything. Nothing worked. The smell returned, stronger. Juliet screamed at him, throwing the herbs on the floor. "You're a fraud." The old man shook his head. "No, this is bigger than me. When a goddess curses, only the goddess can lift it." Those words echoed in her mind. That night, Juliet had a dream. She was standing by the river again. The goddess rose from the water, her eyes glowing. "You mock me still?" the goddess asked. Juliet fell to her knees. "No, please, forgive me. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. I was foolish." The goddess's voice was cold. "You had beauty, but no humility. You thought the world was yours. Now the world runs from you. Tell me, Juliet, Have you learned? Juliet sobbed. Yes, yes, I've learned. I'll never mock again. I'll never look down on anyone. Please take this away. The goddess stared at her for a long time. Then she said, The curse is not to destroy you. It is to humble you. Only when your pride dies will the stench die. Until then, you will carry it. Juliet woke up sweating, her whole room filled with the smell. She broke down completely, lying on the floor in tears. The moon was bright that night. The air was heavy, silent, almost waiting. Juliet wore a simple wrapper, no makeup, no perfume. She carried nothing but a white cloth in her hand, something Ruth once told her was a sign of surrender. Her feet trembled as she walked down to the riverbank, the same place where she once mocked the goddess, the same place where she lost her peace. She knelt by the water, dipped her hands in, and began to cry. Please, Mother of the River, forgive me. I was proud, I was foolish. I thought beauty made me better than others. I mocked you. I spat on your shrine. Please remove this curse. I beg you. The water rippled, though there was no wind. Slowly the river goddess rose, tall and glowing, her eyes shining like silver. Juliet, the goddess's voice was calm but sharp. You mocked what you did not understand. You used beauty to trample others. You laughed at those who honored me. Tell me, why should I forgive you now? Juliet pressed her head to the ground, tears soaking the sand. Because I have nothing left. No friends, no lovers, no pride. I see now. Beauty is empty without respect. Please, Mother, have mercy. The goddess stepped closer, the water swirling around her. Do you truly understand? Yes, Juliet sobbed. I will never mock again. I will never look down on anyone. I will use my life to warn others. Just, please, let the smell go away. There was silence. The night seemed to hold its breath. Finally, the goddess spoke. Juliet, curses are not toys. I cannot erase what you have sown overnight. But hear this. If you live with humility, if you treat others with respect, the odor will fade little by little. But if pride returns to your heart, the stench will return stronger than before. Juliet lifted her head slowly. So, I can be free? The goddess's eyes softened. Only if you remain humble. With that, she sank back into the water. The river grew still, silent again. Juliet stayed kneeling until morning. For the first time in weeks, she felt a faint breeze of relief. The odor was still there, but weaker. She smiled through her tears. Maybe there was hope. She returned to Abuja, a different person. No more flashy dresses, no more mocking smiles, no more chasing fame. She lived quietly, helping the poor, respecting people she once looked down on. And slowly, just as the goddess promised, the smell began to fade. Moral of the story: pride goes before destruction. Beauty fades, but character lasts. Juliet mocked what she did not understand, and in the end she lost what she valued most. Respect people, respect tradition, and above all, stay humble. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more interesting stories.